Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 220. Chuck C. Let's jump in and get to know this picky patina builder. Here we go.
The best part is to see that what I'm, the style that I'm doing is liked and cherished by other people, not only me. I don't do it for them. I'm doing it for me in here, and other people are turned on by it or to it. And that to me is a big deal, because I didn't think it was going to turn out, to be so popular.
Damn, son. Hey guys, I've got David Odegaard, product manager, United Pacific Industries. David, what's the latest?
One of our hottest items is the side mirrors with the directionals built into them, the LED arrow. These look cool. They look original. And however, when you're driving at night and you're changing lanes, that guy that sits in your blind spot, we all know who he is. He'll see that you're indicating and you're coming over. And there's a great safety factor with these mirrors, and they look cool too.
Blind spot guy, we don't want you there, but the United Pacific side mirrors, they work great. I have them on Orange Slice. I love them. How about the guys that are looking to go long bed to short bed? What are you guys offering them?
Yeah, we have all the parts for the 67 to 72 bed, new bed floors or whatever you may need, a new bed side, or that bed front that's always been smashed in by 50 years of stuff being, hauled in the bed.
Yeah, these trucks have been worked so hard over the years. We love that about our trucks, but you might have a floor that's dinged up. You need some parts. United Pacific's got it for you. What else are you guys working on?
Later this summer, we're going to have the front parking lights for the square bodies, 73 to 80. These are full LED. They've got the deluxe stainless steel trim around them. And, it's just a plug and play installation. And it's that final missing piece to convert your square body completely over to LED.
Perfect. So if you guys need some directional mirrors, some bedsides, bed floor, or maybe some LED lighting, United Pacific, upcarparts.com. That's upcarparts.com. But wait, there's more. You can save 15% by using code C10Talk15. That's C10Talk15 to save 15%. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Ronnie. We'll see you out there on the road.
Let me tell you what Melba's Toast is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-to-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Did that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man, he's a television repairman, got this ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Wedge.
What is up? What is up? Episode 220. Chuck C. Good one here. Great guy. So, good pod, great guy. How's that? I'm giving you some good pod today. Getting it over to you. All right? I've got so much crap to get to that I'm just going to jump right to it, and then you can get on over to Mr. Chuck C himself. Some shows to talk about, some emails to hit, and then cut it loose. Okay? So show stuff. I'm headed out to Brothers, as in like a few days. Brothers Show and Shine. I think it's their 22nd annual Show and Shine. And looking forward to that one. So I haven't been to the new venue. Getting out to Cali, seeing some of the peeps, and just chilling, having a good time. So Brothers Show and Shine coming up this weekend, Sunday. Cruise out there Saturday and go to the show on Sunday. All right? So hope to see you out there if you're going to the Brothers Show and Shine. I know they capped it at like 500 and then they added some more. So might be a tough one to get a ticket to if you don't have one already. If you looking for something and you're listening to this, let me know, because there was one in Phoenix that did recently come available. I assume it'll get spoken for quick, but if you're listening and you don't have something, hit me up. or email me, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media. Let's jump to some emails real quick, and then we will talk about some shows. All right?
You've got mail.
Let's see what we got here. Eric Rappaport. Hey, homie, Eric from Minnesota here. Love the show. It has inspired me to take on the project of my own 58 Chevy Apache 3200 long fleet small window. I currently have it blown apart to a bare frame, which I'm going to cut down and install a C4 Corvette front and rear suspension. Nice. LQ4 and T56 Magnum, as well as shortening the frame and bedside. You're going to really like this episode then, Eric, because that is exactly what Chuck C has done on one of his trucks. My goal is to head to Dino's when I'm done with the truck. I know there's a couple other guys in the area that go down. Maybe we can convoy. Keep up the good work. And for us task force guys, we'd like to have some task force talk, even if it was only once a month. Well, I can't remember if I even read this or not, Eric. I usually try to delete them, but I don't think I have, but we have talked about this a few times. I'd love to add it to the catalog and get Task Force Talk out there somehow, maybe a Task Force and Advanced Design Talk for you guys. So it's on the radar. It's just not at the top of the list. I even talked to Chuck, of all people, our current guest, about it probably a year ago, if he thought there was a demand for it. So it's not on the chopping block, but it's just not at the forefront. So, Eric, get to work on your truck and get your ass down here for Dino's Get Down. Okay? Thank you for the email. All right, let's go ahead and make sure I delete that one. This is from Christopher, 82 Scottsdale. Hey, Ronnie, really enjoy the podcast. Keep up the awesome content. Sweet, to the point. Christopher, thank you, my brother. Thank you for taking the time to do that. Okay, we've got, this is kind of a funny one from Jay. I just had my CDL medical physical. They asked me to identify the following colors: red, green, and yellow. I said, I know they think that that's yellow, but it's ochre, a popular C10 Chevy color from the 70s. The nurse said, I think they are cool in that color too. Keep rocking. I just wish for 47 to 55 Advanced Design Talk as well. So here we go. These guys, they're emailing, they want it, they're jonesing. Okra, love it. Spanish gold, either way. So yeah, baby shit yellow for the C10 King. And here's another guy who wants some Advanced Design Talk. So I don't know, 47 to 59 talk, something like that. All right, I'll move it up the chart a little bit and see what we can do. I need to find some hosts and then obviously enough listeners. All right, let's go to one more here real quick. This is from Cody Garber, who is C10 Club, Missouri. And he writes and says, hey, Ronnie, love the pod. Just wanted to get the word out on our second annual Show Me Shindig. The date is September 25th. Last year, we had right around 200 trucks. We are all make and model truck show. The only thing we ask is nothing stock. We do have a block of rooms for a discounted rate, and the hotel is brand new and only 3 minutes from the showgrounds. Tinworks Fab is our supporting presented sponsor. Okay, so that's the original Shindig. They are the C10 Club Missouri guys. Show Me State, so I get it, right? Missouri is the Show Me State. So the Show Me Shindig, and that is September 25th. Awesome. Cody, thanks for the email. Thanks for getting that over to me so I could announce that. So since we're talking about shows, let's run through them real quick. I've got a new show list since we're kind of working our way through the year. August 1st, Brothers will be out there. August 14th, the C10's on the Capitol, Pacific Northwest in Olympia, Washington. That is put on by Todd and Jen Manchester, August 14th. August 21st, you've got the third annual Snake River Truck Show and Off-Road Show. I know Devin Entz puts that on, so you can reach out to Devin on social, Devin Entz. And that's the third annual Snake River Truck Show, and that is in Rigby, Idaho. All right. And then we're going to move on over to September. C10 Intervention in Woodland, the first year in Woodland, the C10 Intervention, 4th and 5th, September 4th and 5th. And then if you want and you're going, you want to get that Provost VIP experience. I know that they are selling those tickets right now. That's where they have like cigars and they've got coffee and beer, and you get your haircut, photo booth, the full Mamba Jamba. It's all there. So that is C10 Intervention, September 4th and 5th. The 18th, September 18th, C10's in the park in Waxahachie, Texas. We'll be heading out there for that one. As for the intervention, September 25th, back to the second annual Show Me Shindig. October 1st through the 3rd, Brian from Grindr, who is also Forbidden Fantasy, they've got the Laughlin Auto Mixer. October 1st through the 3rd, that's in Laughlin at the Laughlin River Lodge Hotel and Casino. October 2nd, the 4th annual Grill and Chill in Purvis, Mississippi. And honestly, I don't know the contact. I think I got a flyer from somebody, but it looks like this is put on by Black Creek Rod and Customs. Black Creek Rod and Customs. This is the 4th annual Grill and Chill, Purvis, Mississippi. October 23rd, 24th, you've got the 3rd annual C10 Fall Revival. That's in Oakboro, North Carolina. Went out there last year. Rad show. Highly suggest getting out there, especially if you're in that area. We'll not be making that trip this year. At the end of October, looking forward to SEMA, getting back out there. And then after SEMA, we've got the Get Down. All right, so staying busy with shows and lots of content for you guys coming at you. What else do I have here? A few things about this show. There's a few times where we lose connection, and so what I ended up doing was, you probably won't notice, but I kind of had little pauses, and I just kind of put them together. So if you see little breaks and you're like, what the hell did he say? That might be where there was a little break that I had to kind of clean up in post-editing. Another thing that we've been able to do is take the video from the pod, put it over to YouTube. You can check out the video, and then at the end of the podcast interview, Chuck does a little walk around of his current project, his 1975 full GSI chassis, LS swapped. He's doing what he does, Chuck C style. Gives us a little walk around of some of the things that he's talking about in the pod, and then we get to see. So check that out. That will be on YouTube. I'll try to get that over before I leave to Cali. We'll see if it happens, but check out the YouTube channel. What I've been trying to do is put some of those interviews that we've had, especially the shop tour at the end, over to the YouTube channel, Truck Talk Media. You can subscribe there. If you want to take the time to leave us a rate, leave us a review, obviously we love that. We've pushed that for years now. And you can also send me an email, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media. Okay? Have a great week. Stay out of trouble. Do what you do. Please share the pod, like it, love it, and let us know how we're doing. All right, guys. Late. All right. Florida, Miami, Chuck C, Chuck Velazco. Welcome to C10 Talk, my brother. Long time coming. Big fan of you, and look forward to this pod. So welcome, my brother.
Likewise, man. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I look back at how I kind of first came across who you were, Instagram. We'll get into your mom's truck, the truck that you did in your 2-car garage, your mom's 68 little inline 6, I believe. But first and foremost, a high-end builder who I think has attention to detail. You obviously go through, and you're one of those guys, very meticulous. Who is Chuck?
Chuck is native born here to Miami, Florida. I was born in South Miami Hospital, and I actually live about 1.5 miles away from where I was born. So I've been here my whole life, professionally, went to school to be a physical therapist. So I did all my post-grad work and worked at multiple hospitals, educational centers, universities. Very much of a teacher in a way, although I'll always be a student for life, did a lot of teaching and always hungry for knowledge and wanting to learn. And my first, how do I transition into, the medical side into kind of what I do now, which is a hobby. And I think it's more than a hobby, maybe an extreme hobby. I like to work with my hands, I like to see things move. And as a therapist, you manipulate people, you move joints, you move bones. But I wanted to do it maybe to something else. And I didn't know, I wasn't born in the hot rod scene. My first car show was 2013, which wasn't too long ago, about 8 or 9 years ago. I had never been to a car show in my life. And I fell in love with this old truck that I saw, and I couldn't get over it while it was all, looked like it had the plague going on, and it was Patina. I didn't know what that was. So it was very weathered, worn, distressed, and I couldn't stop looking at it and just the curves. And I'm like, man, this is cool. And I saw it as art, art comes in many, many forms. And, you know, and here from my studio now and 2-car garage, that's what I do now. So Chuck C, the C part is because I want people to see what Chuck does. So, you know, a way to shorten that was I just said, you know, keep it simple, Chuck C. And when I put it in Instagram, I didn't know it was going to, you know, grow this much or be such a popular platform just for everyone, you know, in the scene. It turned out to be what it is. And now I do stuff from home.
When you look back, thinking 2013, like you said, you know, 8 years ago, and then you look back before 2013, you were obviously engrossed in your professional career. You're in the medical field. So Lord knows there's just a ton of information. You can go to symposiums and workshops and continuing education for you know, myself as a paramedic, you and all the other audience out there that knows no different than a construction job or any other job. There's always, you know, room to grow. Do you look back and think how many trucks, cars, bikes, things that you kind of, not that you took it for granted, but it just wasn't at the forefront. And then you're like, oh man, I love that car now that I'm into cars and trucks. When you look back in your youth or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I don't really, you know, look back and say, man, I could have, would have, should have, but you know, I'm more like, look forward. I have evolved, you know, I'm not the same person I was, you know, 9 years ago when I first went to my first car show. I didn't know where I was going. I was going to go hang out with my buddies, you know, and I was like, all right, I don't know anything about cars, but let's go. And it was in Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, actually. So we road tripped over there and I had built a couple, you know, 2 or 3 bikes, motorcycles, you know, because I rode a bicycle my whole life. And I go, oh, this one, I got the same. And from that point forward, you know, it evolved. So I'd say, you know, from 2013 forward is when I started noticing vehicles, you know. Other than that, I didn't really care for them much, you know.
So this will be good. Take me back or in a very quick explanation. You're a grown man, you're a professional man, you get into automotive and trucks and cars, and you get into that in 2013. Fast forward to, you know, 7-8 years now. And, you know, Chuck C is synonymous with a high quality build. Some people might not realize there is some 67 to 72 love in there. And we're going to get into that more Tri-5 task force stuff.
Yeah.
When you look back at that, kind of what's that journey look like? Is that somebody who just yearned for more growth and really has taken it all in? There's friends, there's travel, there's so much that we're here to get to know that 7-8 year journey. But, you know, that's pretty crazy to think that you've come that far, especially for somebody who had, you know, no previous time before that.
So, I guess in a way it's a blessing because fashion and, you know, comes and goes and style is something you can't buy, you know, and I was never tainted by the old school hot rodder. You know, I don't really know my dad. So I was never, hey, this is a hammer, you know, this is what you do with it. I didn't know that. So at this point, I feel like it's a whole new world for me. And I'm so hungry to learn and for knowledge constantly. I always wanted to learn. And even when I talk and I have something set up for us here, you know, I want to teach the next guy, you know, hey, look out for this when you're doing your build. You know, how do you make it better? Because those golden nuggets don't just get handed out. And I was a guy, you know, yearning for that when I came into the scene and I was watching YouTube and I liked the trucks. You know, it wasn't cars, it was trucks. And obviously it went to, you know, towards the C10 Chevrolet route. And it hasn't stopped since then, you know, and to me, this is a free form of art, how I express myself. And like you were saying, the detail and the OCD that I have is just me in general. But as I'm driving my vehicles, the ones that I've built, you know, I'm thinking, okay, blue Loctite, vibration, how many turns did I torque this? Is it aligned? It just all that, the build goes through my head as I'm driving. So it's a very dynamic drive when I'm driving. I'm not going from A to B. It's A to Z, because in between you got all these letters in the alphabet that I'm thinking about: suspension, airbags, you know, wiring, heat, which entertains me, you know, as I'm driving. So a lot's going on in my head, and I really enjoy it, you know.
I think what I like from a empowering perspective for you is that 7-8 years in the scene and what you've been able to do and the quality of the builds, again, for a guy who's doing it in a 2-car garage, did you feel like it was a challenge to learn to become a quote unquote mechanic and learn to, you know, because I got to think you come into it and you're like, I don't even know what an LS is. I don't know what I've never bled brakes before.
Magazine, yeah, that truck that's in that magazine that you showed me a little while ago, that was my first 55 to 59 build, the step side, the green one. And just to go off of what you're saying, I didn't know what an LS motor was 6 years ago. I did not know. So I heard the term 350, small block 350. So I went to the Chevrolet dealership across the street and I said, hey, I need a Chevy 350. You guys have one? And they're like, well, we have certain packages. Well, what are you looking for? I said, that you plug it in, you add fuel and you turn the key. Like, simple, right? I didn't know what an alternator was or anything. And they're like, yeah, it's this motor right here or whatever. Well, we can have it dropped off, forklift or whatever to your place. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So that's why it's a 350. Otherwise it would have been an LS, in retrospect. But, you gotta crawl before you can walk, before you can run and so forth. So those are the steps that I took. And I think my builds continue to evolve, not to get better or worse, but they just evolve.
Well, I think we're going to get into some of the leaps and the bounds and what Chuck's been able to do and grow. And for me, as the host of this, I love the growth part of it. Absolutely love the growth. That's why I love to get to know people, but I also love the growth for the people that are on the other side. So you're out there at home, you're in your garage wrenching as you listen to Ronnie and Chuck, talk about old trucks. And that you can grow yourself and you can help somebody else grow, because that's what, again, is so rad about our scene and really automotive and culture is the trucks are cool, the people are cooler, and Chuck is here for that. I was talking a little bit earlier, so just so you guys put it in reference, and we'll talk about it, but September of 2019, Chuck was in, or his first truck was going to be the 1959 Green Apache, and that was in street truck. So again, he got recognized because of his builds and what he's doing. One of the things I have for you is Florida. I feel like it's got to be challenging. I love that you love and know what you love. So that's a fun thing. It's like when I see it, I love it. I like my style. Yeah. You've been reinforced by your art that you've been able to create in that outlet, because everything you've done has been, well, not everything, but you've had a lot of success. So that breeds that confidence in your ability. Do you feel like Florida is tough because I feel like you have just a variety galore, from Lambos to bikes to jacked up trucks to donks. And I don't even know that I would think a C10 is even in the top 5, top 10 there.
Yeah. No, you don't see them around here. And I guess I was never influenced by any of that, or else that would have poked my interest in it, and it really didn't. It didn't affect me. But for some reason, just that truck, that Apache I saw, 59 Apache I saw in Tennessee, just captured me. The curves of step side, and I went searching for that truck that you just showed us, and after I saw that, I was inspired. So
do you still have time? Do you still work PT as well, or no?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes,
okay.
I do. So
that keeps you out of trouble, so that you're not buying and working on too many art projects.
No. That's one thing about me. I only have one build at a time that I ever do. Maybe because I'm limited by space in a certain way. Although I do have covered parking on the side of my home, and it's out of the elements and stuff. I don't store. I don't have the capability to store because I don't have enough room. Especially here in Miami, real estate is really over the top. And if you're gonna have real estate, it's gonna go up. It's not gonna go sideways. Because it's just cheaper. So I wasn't really influenced. Back to your question about all the exotics that you have out here. And it's funny you ask. Like sometimes I'll go out, not in this one, my 55, the fleet side, and people, when it's parked, I said, oh, is it broken down? Like it flat tires, or just, the silly things that it's from not knowing, it's not that they're being dumb. They don't know, maybe ignorant, which ignorance is a bad thing. You just don't know. And then you get, when are you going to paint it? And oh, that's a cool project. Are you almost done with it? And I've driven from Miami to Texas and back in that thing with the AC on. So it's cool to listen to people's, I guess, comments and stuff like that. But and why Patina? To me, it's just a lot of character. I think anyone can own a red truck. Nothing wrong with a red truck, but anyone can have a red truck. And there's like a fingerprint. There's only one.
Yeah, and I think that the task force style trucks that you've had have got to stand out in that Miami area because they're not abundant. And then when somebody, like you said, somebody sees it, it's not just the run of the mill Lambo or, whatever. I'm assuming, I'm just saying, and then they see it and they're like, holy shit, look at that truck. So you're getting thumbs up and rad. And then again, I assume with some of the transplants that come from, New York and North, some of the older guys might see that and just really resonate with your trucks and your style.
Yeah, some of the older guys get it. The younger population, they don't understand it. They'll be the ones that say, "Oh, when are you going to paint it?" And it, it's a nice project. When are you going to finish it? But yeah, the older population really it hits home to them because you'll see them and you see the smile on their face. You know what that means. Grandpa had one, or somebody had one in their life. But it's very rare that you'll see one of these vintage trucks cruising around the streets out here. And the streets are great.
When you look at the 8-year journey, what would you say has been we'll start with the worst part and then we'll finish with the best part. When I say worst,
okay, I mean, repeat. You froze up.
We broke up. So when you look at your 8-year journey, what would you say has been the most challenging part of that journey where you as a teacher and a student, you yearned for more, but it was tough for you. So what would you say was the most challenging part to get to where you are today?
Challenging part is probably waking up in the morning, man, because I do graveyard shifts here in the studio. So I start like around 5 o'clock and I'll go to like 2:30 in the morning. And I got my music going, my AC on, and I'm just in the zone. So waking up, it's not funny, but it kind of is, really information is out there at your fingertips. I knew nothing. I learned how to weld on YouTube. I bought my welder on Craigslist. Everything I have here is, tool wise is that I saw somebody on YouTube because this hot rod scene does not exist really here in Miami. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But when you need a part or you need to go to a hot rod shop, you might as well go to Mercedes dealership or something like that, or an exotic, because you just got to go online, like you said, and it's at your fingertips. So information is as far as your fingertip.
So what would you say? You might even be the answer. What would you say is the best part? So if that's the most challenging part, what's been the best part?
The best part is to see that what I'm, the style that I'm doing is liked and cherished by other people, not only me. I don't do it for them. I'm doing it for me in here, and other people are turned on by it or to it. And that to me is a big deal because I didn't think it was going to turn out, to be so popular. I'm not saying I'm the one who, pioneered this whole, patina thing, but actually here in Miami, it's not very, very common. So the best part of this whole truck scene, I'm going to say, I don't know if this is going past beyond the question you asked, but the relationships that have been formed because of that, most of the people that I communicate with, on a daily on my Instagram, and I'm about 100% return rate on my Instagram. I will answer everything because I don't like seeing an icon on my app. A bubble bothers me, so I'll go touch it and make sure it's been answered. Is West Coast. The West Coast guys really ask me questions, and I'm honored. Because this is where I get these ideas from, and all of my trucks come from the West Coast. You know, all the ones that this one's from California. So all of them come from over there, and I'm getting people asking me questions over here. So I feel very, very honored, you know, from the relationships that have been formed and all the traveling, you know, which is great, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, we like seeing you as well because you're an ambassador for the scene. If you think about it, there's certain people, and we're going to get into that too. Obviously, you and your sidekick Arnie, or you might be Arnie's sidekick, you know, at some format. But I think that having great people, and that's what's cool. To think what a coincidence, or maybe just the way it worked out. 2013, you find this task force style truck. You're looking at those hips. You're looking at that patina, and that's about the same time that social media really took off. We were all these forum guys were getting on. I used to just call it truck porn, and you would have found that as well. But then you get social media and just mind blown, right? We're looking at all these different styles, and so you have that different outlet, and that's what's so empowering about the automotive industry for us is we have all these great people, and we can kind of, you know, Wonder Twins unite when we get together, and then we find out that we might get together at a different show or an event, and you're like, oh yeah, cool truck, dude, I just like this guy. I just want to drink a beer and talk to him about what he's doing. And the like-mindedness of it all really keeps things in the cyclical manner that we're blessed.
Yeah, it's not a typical get together or barbecue or party, because, you know, if you go to one of these truck shows, you're going to get along with everyone, you know, or else you wouldn't be there. You know, like you said, the like-mindedness is all over it. You know, everyone's excited. Like, I don't like to get up early. If there's a truck show, you better believe I'm going to be up early and have everything ready to go and get excited. And the night before, get excited. And to me, it's something new, you know, that I've never really had. And with total strangers, you can be total friends, you know?
Yeah.
So
perfect. Total strangers, total friends. Take us to Mom 68. That was where I first got exposed to who Chuck C was and took note. That was a fun truck. One thing I think, you know, and I didn't look back, but I remember that I believe you kept the inline 6, and I thought that was cool. So how did was that one of your first builds?
That was my first frame off build, and I'll rewind before I talk about the inline 6. You know, I had never built a truck in my life, or a car for that matter, you know, and you know, my mom is my mom, my mom is my dad, and my mom is everything, right? So I said, all right, well, I want to embark on this new challenge, and I love the challenge. And I made room in the garage. I don't have clutter in here or anything. I'm very organized. And I said, Mom, I'm gonna build a truck. She's like, a what? I go, a truck, a Chevy truck. Do you like Chevy trucks? And she's like, yeah, sure. I go, well, here, go on eBay. She's very hip, so she's got Facebook. She has, you know, eBay on her phone, all kinds of stuff. So go on eBay, plug in 6772 Chevy truck, and find something you like, and I'll get it for you, and I want to build you something. And this is totally new to me, totally new to her. Like, what's wrong with you? You know, I don't drink, or I don't do any mind altering stuff. Anyway, long story short, let's fast forward. She finds a 68, and it's great. And I knew that it had to be original paint, you know, right away. Because I had that worn, weathered look from that Tennessee show, from that Apache that I saw. And we found it, we got it, came from California, shipped it over here. And I said, all right, well, I'm gonna take it apart. You know, any monkey can take something apart, right? It's putting it back together and making it work is the hard part, right? So I bagged and tagged. Everything went on a Ziploc bag and my phone, bag and tag. I know nothing. I really know nothing. So I take it all apart, and I Google suspension, and CPP pops up, and I end up buying all the parts I need suspension wise to lower it, because I like the stance. I know lowered always looked better. So typical spindles, springs, shocks. I had the frame powder coated. I don't know if I even C-notched it or not. I may have, I don't recall. I may have C-notched it, and powder coated it. And I gave myself 9 months. I said, I'm going to do this in 9 months, whatever the case is. So had it powder coated, brought it back. As I'm putting it back together, why go look for a motor if this motor worked, right? I don't know what an LS is right now, right? So this long looking, looks like a loaf of bread kind of motor. It still runs. So I took it to a machine shop. They rebuilt it and brought it back, nice and painted, crispy, turnkey. And I said, Mom, got the frame, got the motor, transmission, put a 700R there, automatic, because it was stick. And my mom does drive stick, but I figure I'll put automatic and AC. So I said, she goes, oh, are you going to paint it? I said, no, that's the beauty of it. You know, the character, there's not another one in the world like it. You know, this dent, you know, it has a story. Every scratch and dent has a story. And she goes, all right, let me tell you something. My mom's a phenomenal artist, by the way. Amazing. She can draw. Her mind is another world. And maybe I got 2% of that, maybe, because she's out of this world. And she goes, no. Let me. What is that word you said? I said patina. It's like a weathered, worn look. She's like, look, honey, you see me? I'm patina. I don't want my truck to be patina. So I said, okay, all right, hey, your call, your truck. We'll do whatever you want. Anyway, got it painted. Went to paint jail for about 11 months. Came back, put it all together with an inline six, and she drove it for almost 8,000 miles. And she would drive before to keep it. Never, ever had an issue with it. And it was a great experience, you know, the whole knowing that I did that and I did it for her. So that was my number one. And from that point forward, then my inspiration was her. I did it for her, finished it. Now I can move forward with myself. So, you know, she carried me for 9 months. I figured I can build something for her in 9 months as well. So that's kind of that was my deadline, you know.
What was your biggest like learning experience from that first build?
Pro Performance has been your favorite parts supplier for almost 10 years, but we're not slowing down. We've stepped up our stocking orders to make sure we have more of what you want when you want it, ready to ship or pick up at the shop. Check with us first for top brands like React Suspension, Snowden Custom Seats, Vintage Air, and Willwood. Pro Performance is also your number one source for Dakota Digital, so whether you need a full kit or a few accessories, or just want to see the new RTX series, hit us up. Check out the website at azproperformance.com to see our full line and which shows we'll be at in 2021.
Hey guys, I've got Kathy White, Classic Performance Products, CPP on the line. Kathy, how's it going?
Hey Ronnie, what's up?
What's up? What's new?
We've got a ton of things for the C10 community. First things first, our 2.5-inch Extreme X10 drop spindle. So we've upgraded the current modular spindle to modern technology. This new X10 spindle is a one-piece forged, but it utilizes strong, modern, bolt-in, internally sealed bearing hub assembly. So it's low maintenance. It doesn't move the wheels out, and you can use big brakes from us or any aftermarket big brakes out there in the market.
That's awesome. What else is new?
So we have actually gone back and redesigned our aluminum fuel tanks. As you know, our fuel tanks are the thickest, strongest, and largest capacity in the industry. But now you can actually use the same tank for either a carbureted or a fuel injection application. 63 to 72, it's 20 gallons. And for 73 and newer, 22-gallon capacity.
How about that coilover kit? You guys must be killing it with that thing.
That is such a great kit. It's fully bolt-on. It's easy to install. Strongest tubular arms in the market, available with either upper and lower or just the lowers or just a coilover kit by themselves. All the mounting brackets that you need, and it also comes with dual adjustable coilover shocks. So it's really responsive. It's up to you however you want to tune the compression or the rebound. It's perfect if you're just cruising on the streets, and it's proven on the track.
Well, that's what we like. So if you need spindles, the new X10, fuel tanks, coilovers, they've got it. Classic Performance Products, CPP. And don't forget, use code C10TALK, C10TALK at checkout and save 10%. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. It all started in the original owner's garage. From humble beginnings of a couple parts in a garage to a 2-building manufacturing facility making over 6,000 parts, Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They not only design the products, but also design the tooling to build the products, guaranteeing quality control. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. Aluminum strips are double polished, creating a mirror finish, and crystal clear anodized. They use the highest quality, hand-selected show quality wood that will hold up over time. Why? Because it's kiln dried to precision moisture levels specifically for Marquet. They stock oak, pine, and mini exotics, guaranteeing extremely fast delivery. All parts are manufactured in-house in Oklahoma City, USA. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bed wood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com.
Wiring. I didn't know how to wire anything, and I had a buddy come in and help me wire the stuff. I downloaded diagrams off the internet. I mean, it was as simple as it can be, right? Because inline 6, there's not much going on there. But the truck never gave me headaches, never overheated, no leaks, nothing like that. And all the information I was getting was from online, and I start off my Google searches with best radiator. Best, the word best would always go first, because I wanted nothing but the best for my mom, so that's how that came about. And
she drove the truck for 8,000 miles, and then did she just kind of say, hey, I want to move on? And then she probably checked with you.
She would call me and say, hey, there's a guy telling me to put down my window and saying things to me like thumbs up or whatever. What do? I go, say, you wave at him. I don't know. I don't know about the scene yet. Right. So he probably likes it. And she would roll down her window. Oh, how you doing? And she'd say it's a 68. And people just wanting to buy it off of her because they thought it was an OG, this old lady driving this, short bed C10. And some guy from California just fell in love with it, would not leave us alone, would not. I said, Mom, it's your call. It's whatever you want to do. It's your truck, your call. She's like, well, I don't know. I'm scared to drive it. Like she's very careful and very, very, very picky. I guess that's where I get some of that from too. And she had her microfibers and her spray, and she would clean it and wipe it. Like, to date, her cars are impeccable. And some guy just wanted it more than we did, I guess, and it still, I'd love to have it back, but it went to a good place, I think, back to California. So it's over there somewhere, but I haven't seen it. The guy doesn't have Instagram or anything like that. So it went back to where it came from.
I've got you down as definitely having a few 67 to 72s for a while there, different trucks that you, so would you say at that first phase, obviously, in Tennessee, you were influenced by like a task force style truck, but you also like the 67 to 72s, and you were plucking them up and working on them.
Yeah, it was my mom's. After that, I got that green one that you just showed us in the magazine there. And I saw that on eBay because I didn't know where to find one, right? So let me go on eBay. That's where we bought my mom's truck. So let me go buy another one, right? I didn't have any contacts with anyone outside of Florida. And I know that Florida weather doesn't lend itself for patina, it just rots things out. So saw it on eBay. I guess the guy was asking too much for it. I don't know what happened, didn't sell. So I sent him a message. I said, hey, where are you located? He said, oh, I'm in New York. I said, all right. So I said, I'd like to go see it. So I bought a plane ticket and flew to New York, and it was actually over the bridge in New Jersey, and saw it inside a warehouse. I think they were Polish or German. I don't recall. I don't recognize the language that they were speaking. Long story short, it was a big back window, short bed, step side, original paint in this warehouse in the back. And the guy, oh yeah, we're going to build that one day. And there must have been 80 cars there. And just wrenching on stuff, very dusty. It was basically abandoned in a corner of this warehouse. And that's where I picked up that one. And that was my first build using a Porterbuilt front half, back half, because that's what I found. You mentioned the 6772 forum, and that's where I found the information on Porterbuilt. And I did my first back half, front half, back half, and I learned to weld before I started that.
Well, it's good that you found the truck porn because, there's a lot of information there.
A lot.
And like you said, you go to YouTube and people don't realize even on a 6772, it covers all, eras of Chevy trucks. It really does, even though the namesake is 67 to 72. But
right.
So at that point, you find this, in my mind, you found the gem, right? You're thinking,
I didn't know.
You're probably like, I'm going to keep this truck forever. I found this back warehouse, 1959 Apache. I don't know what all the numbers are. 3100 Task Force. I don't know any of that means, but I'm going to build this bad.
A big back window. I know a big back window is more desirable. I had no idea.
That's cool. So work us through that build. Did you think you were going to keep that one forever? And at that point, because if you had already built your mom's truck, I feel like at that point, your social media you're starting to kind of get like a reputation, like this guy in Miami, Chuck C. People are starting to follow you because you did catalog and do a really good job. At least I remember with your mom's truck. So people have got to be reaching out to you like, hey, good job. I love that you kept the inline six. Great build. This is cool.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I had maybe, 1,000, I don't know how many followers then, so I wasn't getting that feedback from people like I do now, which I'm honored and grateful. And I wasn't getting that feedback, but I think what really gave me the most exposure was this 59 once, because I didn't know what it was until, I started getting more into the whole truck scene. And I said, man, this is really what I really, really like and what's very desirable. So when I completed that build, the 59 Apache, that's when I got the most exposure, I think, and people asking questions and people wanting to do videos and stuff like that. And then the magazine, I was blown away. I've never owned a car magazine in my life, and now I'm the guy in the magazine, So, I know it's cool. I know print isn't maybe at the forefront of where everything is going, but to me, it was a big highlight and a big deal for me. I mean, I had no clue, but I'm in it, So I think that was what made me leap a little bit more forward with my platform that it is today.
So you cut your teeth on Mom's 68, then you get the 59, the green Apache. Yeah. What'd you learn on the green Apache? What's some when you look back, some trials, some tribulations to, you're going front half, back half. That's something completely different. Obviously, you're getting brave.
Yeah. Because I see that the biggest limitation is yourself. If you don't work outside your comfort zone, there's no growth. So I had to do it. I wanted to grow. I'm always hungry to learn more. So trials and tribulations. Again, the electrical, man. The electrical for me is not fun. And I would take a day off to come back and look at it again. And now I've learned how to do electrical, and it's the same way you'd eat an elephant, right? So I separate strands. These strands go that way. Leave them alone. These strands come this way, and these go forward, these go back. And once you tease out the spaghetti, it's not as bad because now you know the direction where everything needs to go. You don't look at it all as a whole and say, man, where do all these go? If you take them in small groups, it's only where do these 5 go? Don't look at the other ones right now. So I learned to manage my cataloging of how I'm gonna attack my plan of attack on electrical, the electrical aspect of the build. What else can I tell you? I bought the motor at the Chevrolet dealership because it's called the turnkey Chevy Turnkey 350 because it comes with a belt and spark plugs. I mean, can't go wrong, right?
They're hooking you up. They're taking all the guesswork out of it. What about
the work that I didn't know?
What about bagging a truck? That was something that you probably, had to really learn on that 59.
Right. Well, so Porterville offered the whole suspension with bags, and I said it'll probably look cooler, lower. I like that. and I opted to bag it, and I wrote, best air suspension, and what came up was AccuAir. So I got the AccuAir with the external valves, and 10,000 miles later, that truck has never seen a hiccup with that system, which is great. So the bags to me were really exciting, going from a coilover top, which is my mom's. The sensors were challenging, how to set them. And the electrical part, once again, I learned how to polish. That's another big deal. So this one I did do full polish. There's no clear on that truck anywhere, and that thing was brighter than a 2021 Chevrolet. That lacquer paint, just you cut it and polish it, buff it, and to me it's beautiful. It's more beautiful than a new paint job, if you ask me.
So now that you know what you know, looking back over a plethora of trucks and builds, high quality builds, do you find yourself as more of a guy who likes the journey of the build more than the drive? You like to be in the shop, the therapy of you jamming out and staying up till 2 in the evening, 2 in the morning, and you yearn for that more than the drive, or do you enjoy all facets of it?
No, it's from beginning to end. The hunt, you find it. The parts are always fun. I like using all original parts. I guess I might have coined the term OG plus. So, exactly what the name states. You want to keep it OG and just add your little touch to it, the plus. So I think GM did it right from the go. If you can just change the stance on it and maybe the drivetrain, you don't got to do much else. A lot of little details in between, but overall, the overall big picture, the gross picture will be just OG plus. So that's something that I subscribe to.
What about wheel choice? I always think that that's a challenging thing for people to understand the concept of how we see so many things on social media. So you see, some Coys, some torque thrusts, some Boss 338s, and they all look good. A Rambler, a US Mag Rambler looks phenomenal on a C10, but you have also working just prying that 2% your mom, gave you from the artisan perspective. You've done a really good job of picking the right wheel. Walk through that with us. What's your process?
So to me, women are beautiful, right? So you put a beautiful dress on a beautiful woman, then you put a pair of Crocs on her. See what I'm saying? So I know that, 4-inch, 6-inch heels will look a lot better than those Crocs. So that's how how I see it, or how I envision it, and the shoes will make or break the outfit at the end of the day. And I was in Tennessee the following, maybe 2 years after that my initial visit to Tennessee to that show, and I saw Boris. I didn't know Boris, but I saw a C10 with spoke wheels, and it just zipped by, and I said, I saw something going like this, and I said, those aren't smooth, or I got to go see that again. So he made a U-turn, something like that, and I was keeping an eye on him. He came back, and as he was going slow, I said, man, those are spokes. That looks really cool. So I went online, and I put best vintage wheels, and the Wheelsmith came up in California. So I gave him a call, spoke to the guy, very nice, and I know forward from backwards, and I said, I want spoke wheels, and I want them on 20-inch hoop, right? I didn't know what Boris was running or not, but 20s were kind of cool. 20s, it's not a teen, it's a 20. So they said, oh, we don't make those. We only make them 15s, 17s, or 15s and 18s. 18s the biggest we go. I go, anyone who might make them in the 20? And he's like, well, I guess I can order the hoop and we can try it. I'm like, all right, I'm down. Let's do it. So it's a 52 spoke, powder coated black with a little Mooney in the middle. And I reduced the Mooney by like half an inch because I paint another circle on the OD of it just to reduce it. And it makes the rim look a little bit bigger. That's a little cheater note there. So I do manipulate that little center cap to make the rim look bigger, and then I added the white wall, so it looks a little bit bigger than the 20. And I think that shoe fit, and everyone really likes the shoes on that, or the wheels on that truck. Whenever they ask about it, they ask about, did I clear it, and they ask about the wheels that I chose.
Well, but honestly, I think your process, even on tan lines, I would say tan lines, your wheel is phenomenal. You pick the right wheel. You pick the right wheel with the green.
You broke up.
Just saying that you picked the right wheel for tan lines as well. So really all your vehicles, I don't, I'm trying to kind of sit here and think about the different vehicles you've built, but you pick the right wheel, and the right wheel, that's the hardest part to me is
yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say the hardest part. It is a hard part, but it's a fun part. It's just that it has such a big, there's a risk reward there where you go outside of the box and you pick the right wheel, you win all day. You can always take the safe choice. And like I said earlier, go with, a US Rambler. There's certain trucks, certain styles that just, they're timeless, and you're going to be fine with it. But then you've got somewhat of a ballsy move where you go bigger, or you go just a little bit, more drastic, and somebody might not have seen that, and you're like, oh shit, look at that. Like, God damn, that looks so good. Right. You do a good job of that. And again, that's where I go back to that artisan part of it. It takes the right guy, and you're working through it hard, and it shows.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. That, the wheel on GMO on that 59 Fleet side, the two-tone, the beige and white, Frontier beige, and I forget what the white is. My girl was drinking wine, and I was on that same predicament, like what wheel, and I'm Googling, wheels and Google image wheels, just looking at wheels, and I get a lot of, the VW scene is really big, and that European look to me, what the VWs do, like I vibe with that a lot, and I like it. So I was looking at a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, but this is like American kind of muscle truck car-ish, So she was drinking wine, back to what I'm saying. I grab her glass, I go, give me a sheet of paper, and I get a Sharpie marker, and I draw a circle, and I give her back the glass of wine, and I go, why can't I draw like, another man that breathes, cries, bleeds, drew that wheel? Why, how am I different? We're not really different. So favorite number is 8. So I drew 8 spokes. So the wheels, I named them the 88s. And I drew them. And I drew the Chevy bow tie in the center with a GMC 60s cap around that. I don't know if you notice, if you look at them closely, it's actually a GMC bigger hubcap with a bow tie emblem in the middle. And I talked to Arnie, my buddy Arnie, and I went to high school with Arnie.
Oh boy, here we go. First Arnie drop. First Arnie drop.
So I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing my own wheels. Do you know somebody? He's like, oh yeah, man, of course I know somebody. He just went on. I go, I say yes or no. Do you know somebody who can do wheel? Anyway, he hooked me up with the Greening Auto Company, and I hooked up with them, and very honored to work with them, and didn't realize the caliber of shop they were, or it's a full-blown everything that they do top notch stuff. And I said, can you guys make me this wheel? And they're like, yeah, it's going to be expensive. I said, all right, can you make it for me? And they said, yeah. So the designer, George Lawrence, great guy, he did the CAD work. He sent me renderings back and forth, and as picky as I am, I did the old school cutout, color pencil, photocopy. I drew my truck. I would put the wheel behind a little piece of paper to see where, if I cut it in half, how the wheel would look when it dropped. I do crazy stuff here, just very caveman stuff, because it's what I know. Second and third grade stuff. Pair of scissors, some tape, coloring pencils, and you go at it. And they said, yeah, we can do it. So they made me that wheel, and then they made me the wheel that I run on GMO, which is the 55 Fleet side that I have now. It's just a different rendition of the 88s, but basically the same almost.
So the green 59, where'd that end up?
That one went to Kentucky. don't link into. I never post that I sold it or anything like that. Not a big Instagram guy. I had never seen them before, but I guess you got lurkers out there that just watch and drop a question or a comment here and there. And he said, "I need it. I want it. I saw your YouTube channel and I saw the truck on the videos, and I want to buy it." So we came to agreement, and he came and got it all the way from Kentucky and took it back. And I really haven't seen it again because he's not really that active on Instagram.
Tan Lines ended up here in Arizona. Do I remember that run right?
Yeah, Tan Lines. I'll fast forward through this one. I had never been to Dino's Get Down, right? I'm all the way out here in South Florida. So I had Tan Lines, 59 Chevy Apache, fleet side. I had it shipped to Arizona and took it to Dino's Get Down. And, people hitting me up on Instagram. "Oh, is this truck going to be there? I would like to see it. Oh, nice truck. Is it for sale?" I'm just saying, thank you. And a gentleman, I won't mention his name, but a very nice gentleman. He's like, "Hey, I really like your truck. Can I come see it?" I go, "Sure. It's going to be at Dino's Get Down. It'll be parked at this booth over here." He's like, "All right, I want to talk to you about it." I'm like, "All right, cool. We'll talk about it, And he goes, "Is it for sale?" I said, "No, it's not for sale. I brought it down here and I put 700. I came to Dino's a week in advance and I put 700 miles on the truck as the shakedown. I just finished it. And pre-Dino's. So went to Sedona, saw the Red Mountains, what have you, in Arizona, came back. Anyway. And he ends up he said, "What day do you leave?" I said, "Oh, I leave on Tuesday." He goes, "I'd like to see the truck on Monday." All right. Why don't you come to Dino's and look at it? Anyway, long story short, fast forward. He asked me where I bank. I said, "Oh, I bank at the Chase Bank, but it's not for sale." He's like, "Let's go to Chase." I handed him the keys at Chase. And he drove it all the way to Portland, Oregon, from Dino's Get Down. And I said, "If anything happens from here to there, it's on me. Any flat tire, wire, anything." He said, "All right." He says, "You trust your bills?" I go, "I do." So anyway, he jumped in it, drove straight to Portland, Oregon. He said he got caught in LA traffic. I don't know what that is, but I can imagine because I know what Miami traffic is. So that's supposed to be worse. So he said, get caught on that. He said he turned on the AC. He said he had no problems. He had the Bluetooth radio going. So like my builds, when they're done, they're 100% done. They're not, "Oh, wait, I got to add a sway bar and I have to put a Watts link and I got to add, a bag." They're 100% done. And I got it shipped to Dino's and I came home empty-handed. It was never really intended to sell. So that's when I had to get another one, right? So that's when I got my 55 GMO.
So before you get to the 55, that's got to make you feel good, right? When somebody at this point, you haven't said everything's for sale. The green 59 is sold with no advertisement. The 55, which probably, I just love those earth tones. So I love that truck. I'm very happy to see that truck at the Get Down. Nice. You got to feel confident, like, Jesus, man, what's going on here? Am I, what am I doing?
Again, this is not my scene, and I'm beginning to understand it and the passion that drives people behind wanting it. It's kind of the same that I have. So the like-mindedness, and I understand when somebody wants something so bad, because now when I see an original Patina short bed truck, this something comes from within me, that I don't know where it comes from, but the desire of wanting it is there, and you'll let nothing get in your way, if you can, to get it. So I'm very humbled by the fact that there's people that really, really like my builds and they want them more than I do, and that's what has happened ultimately,
So you've got the money burning a hole in your pocket from the 55 and you start hunting again. Are you specifically looking for another Tri-5 truck? Or you where are you at?
The money is burning my pocket from the 59. And that's when I start looking for another one, because I still want one for me, right? Because these weren't for sale and now they're gone. So I feel like there's a void. I'm missing something. And I get on, I don't Facebook, so I get on Craigslist, and I know it's a lot more tedious, and you got to go, city by city or what have you. But I start looking in North Dakota, like who the hell looks in North Dakota, right? And I find this 1955, the one that I have now, my 55, which is now a fleet side. And as we all know, the first fleet side truck that Chevrolet put out was 1958, not including the Cameos, which was a different style of truck, the fiberglass bed. So hence the name GMO, because it's been genetically modified. It's got a 55 cab with a 58, 59, or 59 bed, because the 59s came with the spear option, spear trim. So I find this thing in North Dakota and send him the money. And he said, well, I'm still using the truck on the railroad. And I said, railroad? All right. Okay. So it's a long bed, step side, big window, but original paint, which is all I cared about, and I didn't know how to shorten a bed, but if I had to, I was going to, and I actually did, but I ended up swapping it for a fleet side from California, just the bed.
Were you looking for the bed? When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, BrothersTrucks.com is your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration parts. So whether you are restoring an original or looking to customize that classic truck, BrothersTrucks.com has thousands of the highest quality truck parts for you to choose from. So head over to BrothersTrucks.com and order your free catalog today. And don't forget to follow Brothers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates and special offers too. Hey guys, I have Andrew from Painless on. Andrew, our guys are thinking about rewiring their truck. Why should they choose Painless Performance?
Well, Ronnie, we've been doing it 30 years now. We're American made, American proud. We have unmatched tech support. You'll get one of our guys right here in Fort Worth, Texas, if you have a call. And, our installation manual is full color and covers everything you need to know.
There you go, guys. You get rid of that 40-plus-year-old wiring. You get easy-to-read printed wiring. PainlessPerformance.com. They've got you covered if you want to go OG Classic or if you want to go something customized. Thanks, Andrew. PainlessPerformance.com. Hey, guys. Did you know that U.S. Mags and American Racing Wheels have true lineage to one another? And that U.S. Mags was created in the mid-'60s by none other than racing legend Parnelli Jones and his childhood friend, Art Hale Sr.? Well, fast forward around 50 years, and you'll see that Art's son, Art Hale Jr., who grew up in the wheel industry, obviously following in his dad's footsteps, acquired the name and the iconic American Wheel brand. Talk about rad. Amazing history, amazing story, and amazing wheels. Check them out at us-mags.com. That's us-mags.com.
I find this thing in North Dakota and send him the money. And he said, well, I'm still using the truck on the railroad. And I said, railroad? All right. Okay. So it's a long bed, step side, big window, but original paint, which is all I cared about, and I didn't know how to shorten a bed, but if I had to, I was going to, and I actually did, but I ended up swapping it for a fleet side from California, just the bed.
Were you looking for the bed?
As I look on Craigslist, you'll see stuff in the background. I'm very keen and I focus on things, not only the picture, but things behind it in the background. And I saw something in the background of this other gentleman's, post. And I asked him if that bed was for sale. And he said, yeah. So I had made him an offer. I think I paid $1,000 for the bed. And then it cost me about that to get it over here. So it was pretty expensive to get here, but I got it here. And that was from California as well.
So it shows up. Are you, that sometimes you'll do a transaction that's, I haven't done East Coast to West Coast, but you do the long distance relationship, the bed shows up and you're completely and totally let down. I'll be honest with you. Unfortunately, more than not, I'm let down more than I'm, impressed, type deal. Right. Where somebody, it comes a little bit more rusty, it comes a little bit more dinged up. The bed shows up. What are you thinking? How to work out?
The bed showed up was from California originally. So it, there's nothing out east that compares to anything out west as far as metal goes, So to me, it was a home run, right? It had no weight loss, meaning, rust. It had a couple of dings and dents, right? Standard. It's about 60 years old. It's gonna have that, right? And my biggest challenge now, you like to talk about what were some of my challenges, is now, I don't know how to paint. How am I gonna make this bed match this cab that I have that's original, and I polished it, and that's something I really don't talk about, how I was able to match, and the process taken to attain that look, yeah, it's forced patina that I had to do, but in my head, this is what it should have looked like after you polish it. So that's why it has that smooth, almost sheen to it, because the factory one that I polished has a sheen to it. And I ended up painting the bed to try to match the cab. And it's a 55 fleet side, which never existed.
Was that hard to learn to do that, to learn to match that paint? How did you go about that? Did you color match, go down to a store and get some paint, or what was the process?
Yeah, great question. So I took a fender over to a store, a paint store, and automotive paint store, and I said, can you match this? So it was a tailgate. I took the tailgate over there. Tailgate off the step side. I took it over there. They tried to match it or what have you. They got pretty close.
Which, for the audience, that's the original tailgate, because the step side was part of the North Dakota truck, correct?
Correct. Okay. It was a long bed, step side, big window from North Dakota, and then I replaced the bed for a fleet side bed. So now I have to paint the fleet side bed. So I put myself, this may seem weird to people, but I put myself in the shoes of a raindrop, or in the shoes of a ray of the sun. Which direction does it go? Down, right? It only comes down. Gravity's going to bring you down, pull you down. So patina has to happen that way. It has to go down. Like the weather, unless you're getting road rash, which is going to go horizontal and back, you're going to get a downward force that's bringing this weathering to the vehicle. And obviously, if there's any human, the oils from your body, from your skin, will start wearing stuff. So you'll see that on the doors, where people live, arms and stuff. But unless you're looking at, fleet side 60s and up, sometimes you see horizontal lines on the bed. And I think that's caused from the whirlwind of the bumper or the tailgate, and you see lines that are horizontal. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Anyway, that's a side note. So I said, all right, so if I was a water droplet, if I was sun, if I was dirt, if I was a rock that hit, this is the direction I would go. And using that mindset is how I did the whole bed. And, it came out, I think it came out pretty good. Is there room for improvement? Always. But I've never painted anything, not even my nails, and I think it did all right, and I was honored. I'm gonna throw this in there. GSI asked me, hey, would you like to bring GSI Machine Fabrication? Would you like to bring this truck to SEMA? And I said, like, what's SEMA? I've never been there. What is that? And it's the biggest car show and whatever. So I said, yeah, I'd be honored. So I actually drove from Miami on a trailer, drove it up there, and then drove it back, and then went to Dino's afterwards, and so on and so forth. But
so to again, you've got a long bed chassis. So you back half that chassis
on the 55.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
yes.
On the 55, it was a long bed step side. So I removed the cab, I sold the engine and the chassis, and I ordered a frame from a full airbag suspension frame from GSI.
Okay.
And when that came, and I had it powder coated, Wimbledon white, which is a late, early Ford color, and the 55 rests on top of the GSI chassis.
And this truck was also in CK magazine. So again, you've been street trucks with the 59 green, and then with the 55 GMO, you were recently in CK Truck Magazine. And probably the only reason why Tan Lines wasn't in a magazine is because you sold it before you did anything with it. And in my mind, it's I'd probably pick that truck as my favorite, at least, Tri-5 style truck, because I just like those colors. But
yeah, it's a rare combination there. It's a very, very rare combination. Yeah, I was once again honored to be photographed and put on the cover of CK magazine, and and the guys behind it are very passionate about trucks, and they own trucks, and they do truck shows, and they're out in the scene and really making a name for themselves and shaking people's hands, which is always nice.
Yeah, and good for you. You go in, a newcomer. You've got you're in street trucks. You're in CK. You go to SEMA. You've got a full GSI chassis. You've had a little flavor of, a fever for the flavor of a Pringle here. You're doing a little bit of everything. You're getting the full experience. You're getting the e-ticket ride. And
I am, and without knowing, I'm just doing what I think and what I find to be attractive or alluring and calling to me, and surprised that people like it, and glad they do at the same time, glad they do. And I've been inspired by, this is not all out of the internet and reading, and I've been inspired by a lot of trucks that I see, And
who is, give me a builder or two that really inspires you. Somebody who, while you're inspiring others with your style, your attention to detail. Sure. I'll tell you right now, I'm absolutely inspired by the way. I love your attention to detail. I love that no stone goes unturned. And I didn't know this until you just said it, but hey, when I'm done with a truck, I'm done with a truck.
Yeah,
that is an absolute rarity. Sam and I talk about this all the time. So many trucks get to that 90 percentile, and then people get in them, people drive them. Their lives are very busy, and it's very, very hard to do that, that final 10%, that final 5%. And to find out that you're wrapping it up, you're checking all your T's and your I's or dots, and the so on and so forth. So you're definitely very thorough in that, and that's to be commended.
Yeah, it's like if in the medical field, if you're gonna perform a manipulation or a surgery, right? You can't leave the hole inside, and you can't RB breathing, right? You gotta run the whole gamut. To me, you gotta start it and you gotta finish it, and that's just the way my brain works. I'm gonna start this 75 square body, my birth year, right? And I'm gonna finish it, all the way through. And it's easy to get distracted, right? Oh man, look at this one, look at that one, look at this one, look at that one. But ultimately, you don't want to be a collector of parts and projects. At least I don't. Nothing wrong with that. You're not a hoarder. You're a collector.
I'm a collector, and I don't want to be a collector. I want to be. I'm inspired by a guy who can do one or two at a time, and I need to work on that. But so go back to the original. I know I kind of threw a lot at you there, but who's somebody who you look to? Maybe give me a handful, 1, 2, 3 guys that you look to as their builds, and you're on Instagram, and you're like, dude, I really dig this guy's style.
Yeah, the first guy I came across was Delmo on YouTube, and his I guess style of original and low, that called me, and me having my mom's, right, the 68 OG paint, now my 59 OG paint. Now I'm going on YouTube and I'm seeing this, and those were the early videos that really inspired me and motivated me, and I'm all the way on this side of the world where this scene doesn't really exist, right? And I'll have to say him and another guy, that's a tremendous person, and builder, and the wavelength that he communicates at is, I'm going to say, Jason Berlin from Arizona High Test. I totally understand when he's speaking, when he's writing. It's not just a quick blurb. He's really thinking about what he's saying. Even in his text messages, there'll be a comma, there'll be a period, there'll be 2 spaces, then there'll be directions. And I work that way too. My brain categorizes things in a certain way. So it's funny. I'm smiling because I understand him and the way he is, and I was honored. I'm fast forwarding a lot. I just came back from Arizona maybe 3 weeks ago, and I stayed with him at his house, and what are the chances of that happening if I hadn't had one of these old trucks, you know? And I really got to know, you know, the person behind Arizona High Test, and I can't say enough about it. And I hope he listens to this and he hears that, and because this goes out to him, you know?
Yeah.
So he's another inspiration to me, because the level of detail that he goes into to make sure things are a certain way, I totally understand that and see that.
Cool. I think you're nailing it, and we're fortunate. Both those guys are close to home. They obviously AZ guys, and then Dell, and so I back that full fledged, especially you know when you think about some of the detail there. So for the audience, this is not just task force talk. We have some C10 stuff, some square bodies. Got his 75 behind him. You've had a bunch of different trucks in there. You are kind of on a roll of Tri-5 stuff, task force stuff. Now you get a square body. What are you thinking here?
Square body. Yeah, definitely a round eye. It's definitely a later model for me. When I'm kind of my signature is the Tri-5 or 55, 59 era. 60 to 66, I never really messed with a lot. I had one or two just to have them because original paint, and I had to have here. You know, I just wanted to have it. I didn't really want to build it to do a full build actually with that era, just because I don't know. I didn't feel it. So fast forward to the 75 that I have here. This is a custom deluxe. It's I'm very picky, you know, for lack of a better word. So it has to have the right color. It has to have the right patina. It has to be, you know, a certain year, you know, especially now that I'm dabbling outside of my comfort zone, right? I've never built a square body. So here I'm doing one now, and I found it, you know. Most of my vehicles have always been charcoal gray, and this one is charcoal gray, although on the spit sheet inside the glove box, the build sheet, it says Saratoga silver. It's really not silver. More like a charcoal, and it was charcoal. So I found it in one of Boris's. He's another inspiration. I forgot to mention him.
For sure.
Boris and his builds, you know.
Street Machinery for the audience. Boris up in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Street Machinery, the man, the myth, the legend. We've had him on. Hell, I need to get him back on, to be honest with you.
Get him with his sidekick. Jerome, man.
Jerome, when you were talking about painting and thinking like a ray of sun and a droplet, I was thinking, man, Jerome you're speaking to the master there.
I didn't know him or his work, you know, when I was doing this. I did not. Anyway, so back to I'm going through Boris's page, just looking at stuff, because most of the stuff he has is OG patina stuff, you know, which is up my alley. And I see this square body there, and it says Rust Box, California. The tag's from California, right? And I look at it, I go, man, I've never built a square body, but now, you know, I'm down a truck. What do I do? Let me build another one. I have never done one of these. So I said, well, if it's a 75, my birth year, let me, what are the chances? Oh, it's a 75. Oh, here we go. So I buy a plane ticket. I go from my brother. I say, hey, we're gonna Lake Erie, Ohio, just right on the lake. And he goes, oh, let's go. He's down for anything. My brother at Iron Grain, and we fly into Ohio, right? Euclid, Ohio, and I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and I go see Boris, and he shows me this 75 square body one behind me. And, you know, I already had done the whole research behind it. I knew where he had gotten it in California, and I shipped it over to Ohio. He hadn't even touched it since he got it. And it went unnoticed on his Instagram. He has a very big Instagram, and no one really paid any attention to it, you know, and maybe that's what turned me on to it. So why aren't people looking at it? Because it just showed bad. It was weathered. It had these, on the bed, it had these hooks on it. You know, came from, I don't know where, in the desert in California, Moab Desert, I think it was, China Lake. Yeah, belonged to some Air Force guy, and it wasn't very appealing. But I saw beyond that. My builds are usually done in my head before I get them. So now I have to go find the canvas, which is this guy. So long story short, let me fast forward. We go to the title agency. He'd done a fluids check, no problem. Sign over the title, he gets a quick title. We go outside and everything is white. And I go, wait a minute. I just flew here from Miami. Now everything is white. It just snowstorm just came by. And it wasn't cold when we went into the title company, right? I said, what the hell? All right, so we're wearing shorts and a t-shirt and it's snowing. I'm like, all right, now I got to drive this thing 3 on the tree, right? Inline 6.
Nice.
One-way ticket. That's what I do. I buy one-way ticket and I drive them. So I drove from Ohio all the way to Miami in this truck that's behind me. And it's actually on my YouTube channel. I posted it. And
your brother's with you?
Here it is. My brother was with me. We stopped by Walmart. We bought winter gear and a big plastic tote. My brother even bought a sleeping bag, and outside the car, he opened the sleeping bag, jumped inside of it, said, open the door. I opened the door, and then he jumped inside the truck, inside the sleeping bag. And we couldn't figure out the heater because the button was broken to slide the little heater, and we had a lot of panels. So wind's cutting us right through us. And we got
and for the audience, Chuck's brother is he's a big man.
About 290, 6'2". He's a big fella.
Yeah.
And we're freezing. I don't care how big he is. We're still freezing in there. And what a journey, man, you know, from all the way up there, all the way to Miami. And it made it without not one hiccup, man. Not one hiccup.
Super How long impressed. Did that take you guys?
We did it in a day and a half. So the first day we drove about 8 hours. The next day we did about, 15 or so. And went all the way through, 3 on the tree, inline 6. I bought a little gas tank, ran out of gas once because I didn't know, I didn't know how to judge that ascending unit yet because they all have their own little quirks. But other than that, there was no issues with that whole truck. And I'm very, very happy to say it's behind me now. And it has a great story behind it. So another one from the West Coast,
Don't you just love, though, the journey of that, like that experience? Now you've bonded with this truck, you, your brother, totally. Boris, and so that's what I loved, for the audience. Like, life is about that journey, and we're lucky that we're just putting these trucks into our life's journey. But it's like, hey, I'm one way in this thing. We're making it home, a little bit of roadkill-esque. And obviously you probably told Boris, hey, make sure I can drive this thing home, and he's going to always take care of you. That's the kind of guy he is. Some guys out there, maybe not, but you guys, you jump in and so you didn't spend the night anywhere. You just pushed through the whole time.
We stopped in North Carolina. We slept the night and then continued all the way down to Miami. And no AC. We didn't need AC down here. I'm sorry, no heater. We needed it over there, but just window down and cruising, man. No radio, so good conversations, and we couldn't believe we're in this 45-year-old truck, 3 on the tree, inline 6, and then it's just buzzing all the way down. So that's my current build on another GSI chassis.
Well, and we talked about your mom. She's got that artistic ability. You've obviously got a vision. You've got a plan. You talk about a canvas.
Yeah.
You envision it. You say, hey, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to get a square body. I'm going to build it. Are you as a builder now somebody who was sitting online and looking at Dell and looking at Arizona High Test and looking at Boris or whoever, might be online now, are you the guy that, do you build it all and order all your parts or a certain amount of your parts first before you start, or walk us through your plan? You plan your work, work your plan.
Yeah. So first I envisioned this vehicle that I want to build next, right? So this truck, obviously a Chevy truck, and whatever inspired me or whatever motivated me to want this one, but I didn't think this existed, right? 75 charcoal gray looking, which is the color, one of my favorite colors. I don't think it existed, and it did. So when that came to life, I said, all right, so I want to do the OG plus technique to it, right? So keep it as original as possible. It's a custom deluxe, so that was like the base model basically.
With a 3 on the tree and an inline 6, I think we got that part figured out.
Right? Pretty base for the audience, right?
No AC, no AC.
No AC, but it's already converted. It's an AC, which is fairly simple, to do. Just change the dashboard and the I guess the bezel around the steering column or what have you. And I added this cab trim to it. I don't know if you can see it there. It's just the cab trim, and I have a factory original trim for the entire truck that all the dents have been removed and it's been polished, cleaned, and I repainted the entire black stripe on all the trim. That took me 2 days to do. So I'm going to put trim on this truck.
So do you have a name for this truck like the others?
No, I don't. It's got an odd name, Saratoga Silver. So maybe Sarah, or I just call it the 75. I still haven't gotten to that point. Maybe I never will, but it's definitely part of me, and I'm on it, man. I'm really, really on it. And each build, builds on top of the last build, So I'm using a GSI chip like I did on my last build over there in Arizona to do all the hard lines, AccuAir. Now I know what an LS is, right? So I got an LS1 that I took out of a Firebird with 75,000 miles, original owner. I drove the Firebird convertible to my house, and I laid it to rest, man. I pulled its heart out. So it's going to a good place. It's in here, and I just went through all the gaskets, changed the back, the rear main and all the gaskets in it, and had the F-body oil pan, which we all desire, already had it. And keeping it stock, I go for reliability and for drivability. I don't think trucks that are on bags are designed for too much performance as far as, trying to get some lateral G's out of a turn or something like that, right? So I go for reliability, very, very pragmatic approach on the builds. What am I going to use it for? I'm gonna want to drive it to Texas and back. I'm going to want to drive it to all these other shows that are very far away from me. And I typically do drive my truck to all these shows. To Battle and Bam, I drove GMO, my 55 up and back. I drove it to LST up and back. To me, that's also a testament to myself that I'm confident in what I did, and if it doesn't work, then I got to up my game a little bit. So it's almost my final exam when I go on one of these long road trips.
Well, and you keep passing your final exam again. That's part of the journey, right? That's part of right. The funny thing though is this time you started off driving the test, and then now you're going to have to pass it. What would you say is some of the different challenges or learning curve when you went from 67 72s, then you went to your Tri-5s and your Task Force 58 59. And now you're doing your first 75 square body?
I'm going to say that there's a lot more. Well, 67, 72 is a lot of parts available. 55, 59, there aren't too many parts available. And these hard parts guys, which is the guys who have the hard parts to find, right? Hard parts. They're very hard to find in the 55, 59. 55, 59. So now in these square bodies, like, there's all these great companies that now offer parts for them. And, some companies I prefer better than others. And I've been able to find those companies that I really, really like to give it that OG plus, twang that I'm going to do to it.
So we have this thing called Angie's List. Now they just changed it to Angie. I'm not bullshitting you here. I swear to God, I'm not. I think we should make Chuck's List, and you really should, because you think about it, you're not in it for the money, you're not in it for any of that, and you also are the same guy who says, hey, when I started this, I just typed in Google best, and then what came next was what I got from it. So I do think that you should share that, whether that's on your YouTube, maybe push people to your YouTube, but you do seem to me as a guy who's very fair, and you're going to do the process and the due diligence. So whether that's AC company, a wiring company, a dash company, door handles, trim, so on and so forth, you're going to save a lot of people some time and some headache. And one thing I've learned is you get what you pay for. It's really, lowest bid doesn't mean best deal. And sometimes as a guy who's in his mid 40s to another guy who's in his mid 40s, part of the fun part is, when we're younger, as I got a 19-year-old son, he loves doing it the hard way. Well, the older we get, the less we want to do it quite as hard.
Yeah. It's like that. I think you have an air freshener that's a cassette tape, right? C10 Talk little cassette tape. So we're on side B of that tape, aren't Ronnie? And that best deal, just because it's cheaper, isn't really the best deal when you're limited on time. So, man, yeah, that truck is cheap. I can get it. I'll fix the rockers. You're probably not going to fix the rockers. And once you realize the money it takes to get it to where you wanted it, that truck you spent, $7,000 on, you could have bought the $11,000 one and not dealt with any of that. And how many times you're going to hit yourself on that branch? It's not a miss twice, now it's on purpose.
Yeah. We can't stick the pencil in and rewind that tape.
No.
We already switched it over. So now we're on side B. I mean, if you think about it, we're probably mid 40s. Whether we like it or not, we're definitely on side B. And so, we want to, somebody told me this once, I've relayed this 1,000 times. The older you get, the faster it goes. So that side B is going to go a lot faster than side A. And so, there's a point there where you think, man, I don't want to spend that much time and that much money and that effort. I want to get the right part and get it done.
Yeah. And I mean, you should know that a lot of us know that by this time, right? And like you said, and I'll give the analogy of a roll of toilet paper, right? The closer you get to the end, the faster it spins. Same difference, and we're spinning we're not redlining yet, but we're spinning pretty fast. And you don't got time to do it if you spend the extra money up front, and you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. I'm not a pro, so that's a semi-pro tip.
Yeah, you're semi-pro though. You're like Will Ferrell. You're at least semi-pro. And I'll
semi-pro tip of the day.
I will tell you, I am for the audience. I just talked to my buddy Sammy Castronova literally last week. The switch has flipped. I just switched it over to side B, and I finally have realized that I'm not on side A anymore. I am not on side A anymore. And that's a big, I don't know whether that's a hard thing to accept or it's a good thing. But once you realize that, for me, I think I had some stress and some, it's just like, okay, I'm not on side A anymore. I'm officially on side B. Quit fucking around with all this other shit, and get in the truck that you want to build, get after it, sit in that truck and enjoy it instead of watching it sit there for 3 years or whatever it might be. So we're on side B, brother. I'm going to call this the name of this podcast is Side B.
But at the same time, it's a blessing, that we made it to side B,
Well, and honestly, you're right. It's a huge blessing, but a very important thing too. And for the audience and the guys that are still on side A, you're going to learn a lot while you're on side A. So hopefully once you get to side B, we can look back and say, this is what we learned, by being on side A. Some guys, they learn a lot better and they learn faster, and maybe they got bigger checkbooks and some of their experiences are different, but
everyone is different. Absolutely.
Yeah. When you get through, one of the things to kind of add to this fun analogy is one of the things growing up and being in our mid 40s is we did have cassette tapes. And I can tell you there's a Def Leppard song, a Van Halen song, an NWA song, a Too Short song, there's so many, a George Strait song, a Garth Brooks. There's a song there that I would have never heard if it wasn't for being on a cassette tape, because I could have skipped it. So being part of side A, I'll never want to change that, because, I'm glad that I got to hear that song, and maybe it's not my favorite song, but that's part of that journey. And that's part of the drive with your brother, and part of the drive when you finish the trucks. And kumbaya, reminiscing on the mid 40s guy and the talk, but we're on side B. We're blessed to be here, but we've learned.
Yes,
and so going back, I do think you really should. I want to see that. I'm going to push this. I'm not going to give you much of a chance on it to not, but I want to know who Chuck's list is. The A list. Now we got the C list. Okay, Chuck's C list, and we want to see who's he working with. He's working with top quality companies who are going to take some of the guesswork out of it, and the best shit for the builds.
Yeah, and it also depends on your style and most of all your budget. But sometimes if you have 2 or 3 trucks, let one truck fund the next truck. If I'm going to build that one day, 97% chances that you're not. Move that one on and allow the funds and the proceeds from that one allow you to finish this one, the one you really want to build. And as soon as you're on side B, then that comes a lot faster.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy the moment. So we brought up your YouTube. I do want to get to your time out here in Arizona. So for the audience, he did spend some time out here. We're going to adopt him, but you got to do some stuff with Jason Berland, AZ High Test, Arizona High Test. You learned a lot, I assume, while you were out here.
Yeah, you froze for like 8 seconds. So rewind.
Give me the belt buckle then. So you were out
Arizona.
here in AZ. You were out in AZ. You were hanging out with Arizona High Test, Jason Berland, who again is highly detailed for the audience. You can jump back to last year. We did some in shop, in studio interviews with Jason, and he's the guy who's going to do the wiring. He's going to hide it, the tubing, the bending, the air line, the fuel line, and highly detailed chassis works. Really is the way I would look at it. You came out, you went through AZ High Test University. What'd you learn?
A lot of things, that there's still good people out there. That's number one, and I can sit here and honestly say that about Jason. And who am I? Who's this guy from Miami that I'm gonna allow into my house, into my home, for 2 weeks, I'm a low footprint type of guy. I don't need much. Give me a pillow and a Propel. That's what I drink.
Nice.
And he brought a couple of cases of Propel and gave me a room in his house, and I was honored to be there. What did I learn? I learned a lot. Business management, shop management. I don't have a shop. I don't have a lift. I've never worked a lift. I worked a lift at a shop. So did I learn something? Yeah, I learned how to work a lift. How about that? I learned that you can't touch metal outside in Arizona. At the end of the day, we have to push cars in and out, and it's like touching a stove. I learned that about heat, out there. Man, there's just so much that I took in and that I learned. I don't know where to begin, but if you just scroll through his Instagram account, Arizona High Test, anything and everything that's on there is stuff that we touched on and that I perfected from my previous builds. That there were still, I thought they were very well done, but now we're just taking it to the next level just by watching and observing him, and his staff. He's got a great crew in there, and that's like the A team over there, man. They all know their role and they do it, to the best of their abilities, and those guys are killing it out there, and I'm very honored to be part of that. So that was a couple of weeks ago that was there.
I'm assuming that you are a guy who's already highly motivated. You talk about going to bed, 2, 3 in the morning, you're jamming your tunes. It's very therapeutic.
Very.
I got to imagine you get on that plane to go home and you were probably, I wouldn't say reinvigorated because you're already vigorated. So you're a guy who's like, man, I almost feel like I just flipped it back to side A because I'm so damn pumped.
No, what it was, I got like a 3000 grit polish is what I got, and he really did it to me, man. And I'm happy to have experienced, being with him and being in his shop. And I hope I wasn't in the way, I didn't ask for feedback, but I kind of want it, because how do I improve? Right. But just, the methodology of how he does things and the structure, I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan. Why? Because it works, and I've employed all those tactics into my builds, and so far my builds work, for me, whenever I take them somewhere, I'm confident, it was a great experience.
Good.
I tell you, man.
So what's next with Sarah, the silver, square body, Sarah, the silver square body? What's next? Where are you at with this build? What do we have to look forward to on the Chuck C page?
All right. So this week, I think I might've posted something, or maybe my stories on Chuck at Chuck C. I posted, I got my drive shaft from something drivetrain. Kill me. I don't remember the name right now. Something powertrain, driveline, powertrain, or something like that. They did a phenomenal job with my drive shaft. I installed that. I'm working on I'm doing remote coils on my LS1, right? Because this truck has an mounted on my valve covers. I remote mounted them behind the heads, but nobody makes.
There's been a few times where we've lost you, but you've come back pretty quick. So go right back to the LS1, right? Bam, LS1, and then we.
So the LS1 that's in this truck, I have remote mounted the coil packs. So Summit sells, generic universal coil pack relocation mounts, but they don't work for me. So I had to make my own. So the last 2 days, I've been designing my own coil pack relocation remote mount brackets, and they're done. So I got everything's usually stainless with me. So I'll do all my stainless, which, it holds up better against the elements in general. Not that I leave my trucks outside. They're always in a climate controlled, my studio here. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks. What I was working on today was my spark plug wires, right? The ones that go from the coil to the spark plug from the remote location where I have my coil packs, which is behind the heads, right between the firewall and the head. I was able to sneak them in there, and they're kind of, they're hidden enough, and they're safe. They're not going to get warm. And now I just got to find a nice way of routing those lines. Very minimalistic. I don't want anything. I'm not trying to highlight the cables, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm using MSD black cables with a gray boot that kind of match the chassis. The chassis is gray, and I'll be working in the engine bay. And as soon as I can get that buttoned up, I'll post something. So I like documenting my build as I go. It's not like I'm not trying to say, hey, look at me, but in a way I am trying to say that just so I can help the next guy. Because when I was doing this, we didn't have this style of social media and this Q&A that you can do, by DMing people, right? So I'll get a lot of DMs, and I'm happy to answer them, because there's not a one source you can go to for a specific thing that you want. You can Google, what is an LS motor? It's very general. I'm more focused and keen on one specific thing. If one person learned, then, goal has been accomplished, because that'll help that person.
Well, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. So there's going to be more people that are going to learn over time, and they're going to have that question, and your answer might be something that fields, that for them. So I think that, so going into the documentation part of it on your Instagram makes it just stupid, silly, simple to do that. You had a run for a while. You were working on your YouTube channel, Chuck C. So Chuck, common spelling, C, S-E-E, and then classic trucks. How's that going? I just know it's a lot of work. Is that something where you're like, it's just too much damn work, or it takes away from what you're trying to do, or?
So Chuck C Classic Trucks is just elaborating more on the snippets that you get from Instagram. I know you can do a story, what have you, but YouTube is just another platform, and you don't have to interact as much, so I can get it out there, and it's more of a tutorial what I do on YouTube, again to help educate me as an educator, and to a certain extent. I want to show the next guy what I did, what worked, what didn't. Usually I'll show what did work, so to cut out time that we're running out of, let them go direct to the point, to the source, learn what they got to do, and watch the next YouTube video, or look at my Instagram. I'll always try to leave a gift whenever I do a post, it would help me. And I think I try to envision what I post to see if it would interest me. So if I can learn something out of it, I think it's a lot more interesting at the end of the day,
Well, and remember that even though, like you said, you're not really one to show it off, but if people continue to come back, they're liking what they're seeing, what they're learning, and what you're teaching them, because you're teaching them your trial, your error, your journey. And again, that's why I think, we need Chuck C's list, and we kind of could go from there. I'm gonna blow through a few here. Some of them are just random. I did just have with my ADHD kick in. Jefferson Starship is who sang the song Sarah. So we might have to come up with some sort of starship, square body starship or something. That might be a little long. Okay, so some random stuff. I want to really make sure we do let the audience know that he's a high builder who's doing it in his garage without a lift. I do want to mention that because
I lost you at let the audience. I lost you.
Let the audience know that you're a high caliber builder who obviously you're published. You're doing what you're doing. It's passion for you, a hobby that's a passion. But I just want to make sure I emphasize that this is a guy who's building these trucks in a 2-car, I'm going to say 22 by 22 square foot garage with a 7-foot ceiling, and you're doing probably 85 to 92% of it right there.
Yeah. I've done my exhaust in the last 3 trucks, and I don't weld stainless, but I can tack it, right? So I tack my exhaust together and I take it to a professional TIG welder, and he whips it around for me. That was the only thing that I really had to farm out. Otherwise, now within me or the next guy, you can definitely do it inside your shop. I do build wheel cribs, and on my Instagram, if you look back real far back, I show you how to build them. I have all the specs there on my Instagram on a post that I made. Wheel cribs are just little stands that you put under each wheel, so now you can crawl underneath, above, around your truck, and without, moral of the story, I don't have a lift. So this is my caveman lift,
Yep. So you guys jump over to Chuck C's Classic Trucks, get on his YouTube. Kind of a speed round here. What's one of the trucks you wish you could have back? If you could have one truck, what's the truck you wish you could have back that you hadn't sold yet?
Probably my mom's.
Really? All right, cool.
Yeah, the 68, because I really like the that slant nose look that they have, 67, 68. I'm kind of leaning towards a small window right now, 6.7. It's only year of the big window option, the last year of the optional, rear window. If you want a big or small, I like the small window. It gives it like the 1950s gangster vibe. At least I think it does. So I'm always looking for a 67. Anybody out there know of one? Original paint, obviously.
Is that kind of a benchmark build for you then? If I said what would be your next build, do you think it would be the 67?
It would be, I have a 68 right now, 55,000 miles that I drove from Arkansas down. I drove it down last year, flew in and drove it down, typical a la Chuck style. And if I don't find the 67, I'll build the 68, and it'll probably be coilover, just a low coilover situation. It's already stick shift, so maybe I'll keep 3 pedals, maybe I won't. Let's see. But that one runs and drives. I'm not messing with that right now because I only do one at a time. Or else it's I'm too in deep or involved in like I'm a one truck relationship guy, at a time.
Yeah, so, you're giving it all your focus. What do you do with the other trucks when you're consumed with this one truck? Do you just keep them somewhere stored, somewhere safe out of the elements?
I have dry storage that keeps everything out of elements, and I have a big fan that's constantly running through there. And then I go, once a week I go over. It's here at my house. I go over, I turn it on, I let it idle, make sure everything runs fine. And then if the day's really nice, I'll take it out for a spin and put it back. I only have 2 other trucks. It's not like I got so many other ones. So
yeah,
68 and then the 55 GMO.
Boating, I've seen you, kind of Miami style. I've seen you out fishing, out boating. That's obviously another hobby.
Yeah, that was pre-trucks. So I had a little boat and I would do a lot of spearfishing. I like the hunting underwater, and I got a bunch of stories about that. So that was another chapter in my pre-truck days. And I'm actually going lobstering tomorrow. So I'll be spearfishing and lobstering tomorrow. I don't know if I'll post anything because usually my truck page is about trucks and I like to keep it trucks. But if we have a good day, maybe I'll post a couple of bugs. We call the lobsters bugs. So I'll post a couple of bugs there on the story. If we can do something. But
is that something you do with some friends, your brother? Who do you do that with?
I do that with another buddy because you don't give up your fishing spots, and I have these specific lobstering spots that so I'll go out there and I'll do my lobster deal, and then we'll have a lobster feast, and I give most of them away. That's just, I don't know, because not many people get the chance to eat fresh lobster, and I think it's a delicacy. So I give it to close family and friends, and then we make some here at the house. But I enjoy hunting. I enjoy catching them and holding my breath for 30 seconds or so and chasing them and stuff. So it's fun. I know it's out of the truck topic, but it's kind of who I am, and I'll still do some free diving.
Yeah, it sounds no, I love it. It sounds fun. How deep do you have to go? Are you just snorkeling and just diving down?
Yeah, so we free dive. So it's like 15, 20 feet. We go down, and then you wrestle with the lobster, and they're pretty interesting creatures. They don't have claws. These aren't Maine lobsters with claws and pincers that bite you. They just have 2 antennas, and they point them at you because they're spiky. But you catch them from the back. So anyway, it's cool. You can YouTube that. That's a whole nother.
So they obviously have no claw, but they've got front legs or anything right there, or nothing.
Yeah, they got like 8 little legs.
Okay.
And they swim backwards. So if you come at them from the front, they're gonna swim away from you. So you just put a net behind them, and then you make an ugly face, which isn't hard for me to do, and they get scared right into the net.
Nice. You're like the boogeyman. You're the lobster, the bug man. So you're catching
the boogeyman.
That does sound fun, and it also sounds very, very yummy. So, okay, give me something that you wanted to do but haven't yet. So something like hot rod power tour, a show that you'd want to hit, something like that. Something that's on this adventure list for Chuck C that you haven't checked off yet.
I'd like to go. I do go far in my current truck. I'd like to go further in this one, the 75. I read an article. I'm not sure where, probably online. The Hall of Fame tour, which is like 75 vehicles, 150 people, and you have a pit crew that goes with you, and it's expensive, but I think the journey, it will be so worth it. All your hotels are set up, all your meals are set up, and all your shop visits are predetermined. So logistically, everything's been taken care of. You just got to show up with your hot rod and go on this adventure. So I think that's an ultimate goal that I'd like to do that I have not done.
Cool. Yeah, I think our buddy Vern has done that. I think about 2 years ago, he took square headlights, square body. I think it was Vern, but that definitely would be a very fun, obviously the stress. I think Hot Rod Power Tour alone, when it gets back to normal and they're going, some of the different trips, and it seems like this year it is going to be in August, but it's a tighter route. So that was my bucket list goal for 2020, and it just didn't happen. So
right.
Something I would want to get back. And then obviously Boris is involved with that because usually he's having a little kickoff party. So maybe someday we'll both get to do that and do a little Hot Rod Power Tour. Okay. So let's get into kind of take it home with this. You've got a guy you went to high school with who we're very, both of us are very fond of. The scene is fond of because he's just as crazy as can be. You help him with what we've been calling it, the PTS. What do we call it?
PTTS.
Yeah, PTTSD. So yeah, he calls it PTTS, which is Pro Touring Truck Shootout. I think I've renamed it the PTTSD. So Pro Touring Truck Stress Disorder. But you and Arnie, you helped him out in Bowling Green, his first one, which was last year, August. Then you guys came out. You were kind of part of the truck show. He's going to be back November of this year. I think it's 12th and 13th. But more than you just helping him out and everything else, you guys have I assume a kind of a rekindled friendship from high school, and how can you not really love Chuck and really not love Arnie? So I think it works out.
Yeah, Arnie, we went to school together. He has on his Instagram handles Pro Touring Truck Shootout, and he has a lot of aspirations, dreams, and many ideas. And you know, I'm a real good listener. He said, "You want to do this Pro Touring Truck thing?" You know, I said, "All right." So I know nothing about handling and racing, but you know, is there going to be like a truck show aspect of it? He's like, "Absolutely." I said, "All right, well, I'll handle the truck show. I'll help you with that if I can in any way." So you know, I reach out to people, and I post it all over my Instagram when we're getting close to the date. This year will be in November in Beach Bend Park, Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's actually where LS Fest is held. I've never been, but it's a real nice venue. The weather will be great. It's going to be in November. I know it's the same time as Dino's, so that poses a challenge, but you know, there's an East Coast and there's a West Coast scene, and a lot of the guys from the East Coast can't always make it to the West Coast to Dino's. And either way, it's a win-win. Unfortunately, scheduling didn't allow us to change the dates, so I ended up on the same date as Dino's. But the Pro Touring Truck Shootout will happen in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and hopefully all the East Coast guys and whoever from the West Coast that wants to come down is invited as well. You know, there's autocross, there's a drivability cruise, which you get to cruise. We establish a route, and I typically spearhead that route. And a lot of rolling shots, magazine coverage, and truck show. And once again, you know, like you say, the people are cooler, and they definitely are. So if you own a truck, come on out. We'd love to have you.
Will you have your 75? Is that your goal, to have it done for the Pro Touring Truck Shootout?
I haven't made a deadline, but I think that would be a good deadline now that you mention it. You know, let's see. Like things are going pretty smooth now. I'm not waiting on any parts, so it's just me, you know, investing time and getting it done, you know. But those coil brackets that I had to make, you know, to remote mount my coil packs took me a day and a half, so that burned a lot of time. So all those little nuances burned some time, but at the end, I think I can get it done. The articulating bed floor will be the biggest challenge. Where with the tricky bed shocks come in and make the bed go up and down. That's probably one of the hardest parts, but once you get it done, it's one of the best parts in my opinion, you know? Well,
and that's also Arnie's Instagram is Tricky Air and Tricky Air Arnie. And so that'll be good to see on that. Yep. Did you and Arnie, you guys were friends in high school, probably, yep. I don't know whether you were best friends or just acquaintances. And then you get into automotive, you get into trucks in 2013. Did you guys reconnect at that point, or were you friends still throughout?
It was, yeah, he moved, he was here in Miami for his high school and post high school years, and then ended up in Tennessee, and we lost touch, you know, and he's a big motorcycle guy. So Tricky Air does motorcycle air suspension. You know, the best in the business, and quality wise, it's just superb. So he built a motorcycle for me many years ago. I knew nothing. I didn't even know how to ride a motorcycle, but I thought they were cool, right? So I learned how to drive a custom motorcycle, and it was on bags or air shocks, right? And he moved out of here, and then I went ahead and built two other motorcycles. One went to China, the other one went to some rapper here, and some local rapper bought my last one. I'm just out of the bike. To me, it was art, but it was very dangerous art. And I went ahead and retired from the bike scene. And he continues to run his business as, you know, Tricky Air for a motorcycle air suspension. And I said, well, why can't, you know, can I lift my bed? It's 3/4 inch, you know, oak, and I'm having to lift it. So I FaceTime him and I go, hey, what do you think we can do about this? He's like, all right, stop. And hammer time. No, he said, get this measurement, get that measurement. So I took all the measurements. He made me the shock cylinders. I welded some brackets, and we came up with the Tricky Air bed shocks. And now it's, you know, it's a great option or adjunct to your build when you have something that you want to display the jewelry in the back of the jewelry box as well as the front. Now you can, you know, and all these frame companies that are doing this great work, all of them in general, you know, there's a lot of frame companies you can go to, and you don't want to hide that at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, we kind of broke up there a little bit, but okay, so you've got Tricky Air, you've got Arnie, and I guess ultimately let's wrap it up, and then what we'll do, just for a quick walk around, for if we use this for YouTube, we'll do a walk around of the 75 if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I got once again, the shoes are in the works. You'll see what I got going on. But I'll be more than happy to point out a couple of details and things that I'm working on, and whatever I can, I guess, you know, help the next guy with, right?
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, you know?
Well, here, let me ask you this last question, then I'll take you out. But what would you say is your favorite part? So you had, you know, relationships, you've had, you know, friends and groups and motorcycles and professional but now that you're in this truck scene 2013 to today, what would you say is your favorite part of the scene that we're both fortunate to be part of?
First and foremost is the extended family. Just people like all the way on the West Coast that I don't even stay at my buddy's houses here in my neighborhood. And you know, I know on a phone call, I know people will jump for me, and I'll do the same for those guys, you know? So that would be the take home, you know, the relationships that are built, and, you know, the extended family that you have, you know? Yeah,
we are blessed. So good. I assumed you would say that, and your relationship and your footprint, you talked about it. You're a small footprint guy. You need some propel and a pillow, but your yep. Chuck C footprint is way bigger. Just so you know, and that wouldn't be the way it would, you know, if it wasn't that way, people wouldn't be inviting you in and allowing you to come to their shop and learn and so on and so forth. So, thanks for all that you do. Thanks for all the support that you've given, you know, the community, and obviously C10 Talk. And thanks for coming on. I think that's why it's important. When I gave him a hard time, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, dude, I have not reached out, or we have not had Chuck C on. And I look at it like, who does the audience want to hear from? So I'm glad that you took the time to be on, and we appreciate it, brother.
Well, thank you for having me. And I hope, you know, there's some take home for somebody from this whole podcast and this whole, you know, engagement that we had, you know.
Check them out. Chuck C, it's common spelling, CHUCK, and then SEE, and then you can get on Chuck C Classic Trucks on YouTube. Chuck, let's take you out, and then we'll do a quick walk around. Thanks again for your time, brother.
You got it. Thank you, man.
All right, what do you guys think? Chuck C, rad dude, right? Episode 220. We appreciate you tuning in. Remember, you can jump over to the YouTube channel, and I will get that interview or that shop tour, walk around garage tour of his current project, his 1975 square body, over on YouTube, a little walk around. Again, please take the time, share it, like it, love it, and leave us a review. It means a lot. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a great week, guys. Late.